Yes.
All right. So we'll continue right where we left off. We have Mary Kom who spoke last. So in this order, we'll be going forward. Yes, Arpita Ghosh in the legislative process. You wish to
So
give a speech?
last
Yes.
time we had Manoj Jha left, as far as I recall. And then Ishan Sur had said at the end that if only one person was left, we could have completed the.
So I
that
believe that
that was
was
before
after the
the
tea
tea
break.
first round of speeches, I guess.
So
Right, of
before
course.
the
It's the
third set of
last.
speeches commenced, we had Manoja who spoke
Sorry.
for the second time. Right.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have to start with Arpita Ghosh today only. Yeah.
Right. All right. So yeah. Arpita Ghosh. Also, meanwhile, since I was sharing the screen, I won't be able to view the chat box. So just unmute and ask any doubt. All right. So Arpita Ghosh, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So yesterday we had a good discussion on surrogacy bill, and we all agree upon that this bill is necessary and it is the need of the hour. But there are many things that is to be looked upon, like many of the things that were said by the fellow parliamentarians, like the inclusion of the LGBTQ community and the living together couples, the single women, and the complex nature of how to approach the surrogacy boards, and it should be made simple for the intending parents, and various other issues. So I would request the government to look into it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We move on to our next speaker, Bhupendra Yadav.
Yes, sir. So I'll start. Okay. This house, we've been discussing this bill yesterday quite fruitfully, and today I'd like to throw some light upon the second part of it. Now, I would like to draw your attention to two words: unforeseen contingencies. Unforeseen contingencies, we as the house should work, strive to, reduce as much as possible. Now, the standing committee, the select committee report observes that there is a huge disparity in the bargaining power of surrogates vis-a-vis the commissioning parents due to a surrogate's, potential stereotype that has been quite the reality as well. The illiteracy and the lack of access to legal representation by the surrogate mothers is a huge problem that we should go ahead and address as well. Now, surrogate mothers are not informed of the effects of the fertility medications and treatment protocols, and we have, as discussed yesterday, talked about the consent, talk about how the Indian Contract Act Section 10 would apply over here, as well as different things which reduces these contingencies where psychological aids and other things are mentioned as well. Now, further, one thing that the district magistrate medical board, that part should be reconsidered a little bit on second reading, because there has been no time limit prescribed for the issuance of the certificate of essentiality. Now, if there is no bar on this, a huge discretionary power is on the district medical board for any insurance coverages as well, and therefore it would be, most suitable to safeguard this front first. Now, otherwise, since the National Surrogacy Board, the authority overlaps in such a huge aspect with the ART bill, it really does not matter which bill comes first or next. We should just make sure that the object and purpose of the authorities do not clash. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will move on to our next speaker, that is Everton Gaylord.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. So what I could perceive from the statements my colleagues have stated in their previous speeches is that there shouldn't be a complete ban on commercial surrogacy, because this won't support the financial needs of the surrogate mother who are lending their wombs in return for a financial assistance. But what if they are shown to be helpless and are forced by their third party to do so? Indeed, the money that a surrogate mother would receive won't be in the right hands. For that instance, Who is responsible for these frauds? Will the ones opposing commercial surrogacy take the charge? And yes, let me just clear the air that on an average, most Indian surrogate mothers are paid in installments over a period of 9 months. If they are unable to conceive, they are often not paid at all. And sometimes they must forfeit a portion of their fee if they miscarry. But the so-called middlemen in that is the clinics and the medical service centers get full amount other than that of medical liabilities. So who is exactly suffering? The surrogate mother and the intended parents, but not the promoters of surrogacy industries, the so-called billion-dollar industry. This is a mere example of social injustice. At a wider perspective, the government initials of intentions of banning commercial surrogacy is to reduce human trafficking and other false practices conducted far from legal liabilities. It is often said in commercial surrogacy that barren gets a baby and the broken gets a bonus. Having said that, growing concern of the financial assistance provided to the surrogate mother can be fixed by the government as a basic threshold amount to be paid to surrogate mother, addition to that of the medical and basic incentives provided to the surrogate mother for the period of 9 months. That would act as a personal incentives to them. The ministry accepts a cordial input and further suggestions on the above mentioned facts from Shri Bhupendra Yadav ji and Shri Harshvardhan ji. Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to our next speaker, that is Jyotiraditya Scindia. India ji?
It's not here.
All right, we move on to Joya Bachchan. All right, we move on to Abhishek Singhvi. Abhishek Singhvi, not here. We'll go to Ramdas Athawat.
Am I audible?
Yes.
All right. In response to what was stated by Dr. Rakesh Sinha yesterday, I would like to question the central government. If there were so many so-called dignified opportunities of livelihood available for all the women of the country, then why would a poor woman try to be a surrogate, which in my opinion is also a dignifying opportunity to livelihood? Secondly, coming to altruistic surrogacy. Firstly, by stripping off the material aspect of surrogacy, the central government has already limited the availability of surrogate mothers. Now, in altruistic surrogacy case, don't you think it will create moral family issues? A daughter-in-law can be forced to surrogate a child for her sister-in-law lest she shall be thrown out of the house. How will the center justify such moral issues? Lastly, the abortion. Chapter 2, Section 3 provides for parentage and abortion of the surrogate child. There is no voice provided to the intending parents in this case. I want the center to take note of the Thai controversy case, wherein the surrogate mother refused to abort a disabled surrogate child owing to her Buddhist beliefs. There have been instances wherein surrogate mothers have aborted the child post the full payment to the mother. How will the center address this issue? I would like to respond to what Mr. Bhupendra Yadav had stated with respect to that it doesn't matter whether it is the ART bill or the surrogacy bill, what comes first. I would like her to take note of that surrogacy is a symptom of ART bill, because ART bill majorly constitutes of techniques of procedures that would largely control the procedure of surrogacy. So in my opinion, ART bill is the one that should precede the surrogacy bill in order to allow for a formulation of more comprehensive surrogacy bill. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to our next speaker, Sonal Mansingh. You wish to speak?
Not present.
All right, we will move on to HD Devgowda. There you go. None. We quickly move on to our next speaker, that is Priyanka Chaturvedi. Before that, also to take note to all participants, we'll be having a short press conference of sorts at 2 o'clock, 2 to 2:20. These are the estimated timings for it, however they may vary. All right. So yeah.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt, but there are only two signs before my name.
Yeah, I'll update it.
Yeah, thank you.
Shall I start? So,
yeah.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. So, Bhupendra Yadav ji and the next speaker, they all address certain issues with regards to the overlapping of ART bill and surrogacy bill. I'll just move into the technicalities to explain it. Now, section 11 of this particular SRB, the surrogacy regulation bill, explains about the certification of a surrogacy clinic. Now, what we have to take into consideration is that most of the ART clinics combine their services. They have IVF, they have ICSI along with surrogacy. The problem with this is there is a significant difference with regards to certification of these clinics, right? For example, this ART clinic, the registration is granted within 30 days and the certification remains valid for 5 years, while for surrogacy clinics, it is valid for 3 years and not non-compliance with any of the provisions. We know how harsh, how stringent the penal provisions are. So this might create a confusion, a lacuna which has a confusion which has to be which will create significant problems in the regulation of these clinics. Another important issue that was raised by Bhupendra Yadav ji for addressing contingency, this is exactly why we require a proper contract, because we are dealing with the human rights, we're dealing with child rights, we are dealing with basic rights and reimbursement of parties. There are 3 parties involved, right? This is a tri-party agreement which has been discussed before. This is exactly why we require a contract, so that exact terms and conditions are laid upon any sort of contingencies, what happens after that. Such things are not addressed in the current bill, and that is why, to protect the interests of the child, to protect the interests of the mother, surrogate mother, of the intending couple, all these provisions have to be clarified in a contract, and it has to be under the purview of the Indian Contract Act. One more small thing from the speech of Dr. Yajnik, I guess. She talked about Child Rights Convention section. Sir, can I wrap it up in a few
Let's
seconds?
conclude this statement.
Yeah, fine. So she mentioned about the right to know one's genetic origin mentioned in section 7. The problem with that is the questions of right to privacy of the surrogate parents or the sperm donors of the donors comes into consideration. The right to the right to psychological the psychological impact that it might have on the child, on those parents, comes into consideration. So everything has to be laid down. There has to be a proper counseling before the child is given the permission to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We move on to our next speaker, that is Manoj.
Thank you for the recognition, Chairman. I would first like to respond to the allegations or the statements made by Mr. Rakesh Sinha yesterday, where he said that it's not dignified work and women should not look at this as a source of employment. But the fact is that we are living in an economy where unemployment is at a 45-year high, where people don't have alternate jobs, where women have to do whatever they can to support themselves and to support their family. This government blanketly banning surrogacy takes away more employment for women that they already don't have, which doesn't exist in the first place. You have to offer them alternative sources of employment where they can earn money for themselves, for their families, rather than taking away sources that they have right now. And blanketly banning this bill, blanketly banning commercial surrogacy, does exactly that. Also, I would also like to say that I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I apologize. I was trying to. I'll use my time for now. I'm really sorry.
Go ahead. You may continue your speech.
She has yielded her time. She won't be able to continue.
All right. We will start with the next set, right from JP Nada.
Good morning, members of the parliament. Over the course of my past speeches, I gave the roadmap of how we stand at Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2020, which a lot of people missed by giving instances of the 2019 bill. Putting that aside, I talked about the cons of commercial surgery and brought that back in my next speech about how Article 19 and Article 21 are not violated, rather upheld by the government in this in this bill. When there are mentions by various members of parliament about how there should not be a blanket ban on commercial surrogacy and that we should reach a middle way, let me present to you the facts of the case. There is a surrogacy. Either the surrogate mother is paid for it or she's not. If she's not paid a single penny for it, that is not commercial surrogacy. If she is paid for it, then we talk about what is she paid for. Is she paid for the expenses and insurance coverage, or is she paid additionally for expenses she has not undertaken but for the act itself? If it is the former, that is also covered under the bill. I would like to bring to the notice and attention of the committee that currently the provisions of the bill allow that all expenses undertaken by the mother, the insurance coverage will be undertaken by the mother, postpartum complications, situations of death and unnatural abortions, and complications up to 7 months post-delivery are all covered by the bill already. This is also open to revision by the National Surrogacy Board. We have kept enough provisions in place for updation as well as upholdment of these provisions. So when we are talking about adequately reimbursing the surrogate mother for the pains she goes through, that has been done. So when we are talking about an act which is not done altruistically, and when we are trying to further something commercial, which has again previously been talked about by much detail by myself and other members of the parliament, let's talk about all the other exploitation that comes at the hand for when we talk about commercial surrogacy, because there is no such thing as middle way. Either it's commercial or it's altruistic. With reference to the claim that if we do a complete ban on commercial surrogacy altogether, about reference to profession, we have Bhupendra Yadav who talked about how the intermediaries profit a lot. So that is not a profession that the government wishes to protect, especially when it is at the cost of innocent surrogate mothers, surrogate children, and the intending parents. Again, with reference to the claim that it will be pushed underground because of the complete ban, the select committee submitted that the stringent punishment in the provisions of the bill and allowing a woman to be surrogate only once would go a long way in stopping the black marketing. Thus, I would like to say that altruistic surgery is the way to go. So altruistic surrogacy is the way to go, and the role of consent needs to be underlined because the mother is not an unwilling victim. She has consented to this, and there is no exploitation if it goes per the bill. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Please take note of the time. We'll now move on to Rakesh Sinha.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So few clarifications before I start. Number one, Mr. Manoj Jha said that I made a statement that women should not indulge in such livelihood. I never said that. I just said that a livelihood is something you indulge yourself in wantedly and not because you're forced to. And that is exactly what I think Mr. JP Nada ji has told. Now I'd like to refer to some provisions of the 2020 bill because there's a lot of confusion amongst the parliamentarians about what we are discussing. पहले तो आप अगर clause number 4 section subsection 2 clause A देखें, आप section 4 clause 3 देखें, उसमें इंश्योरेंस में क्लियरली बोला गया है कि guarantee of compensation for medical expenses, health issue, loss, damage, illness and prescribed expenses जो select committee ने recommend किए हैं. तो इसका मतलब ये है कि जो expenses incurred है, that is decided by the national board for surrogacy, and hence we are already operating on a compensatory approach, which means altruistic is the way to go. अब अगर मैं बताऊं कि सबने हार्पर किया है, चाहे वो भूपेंद्र यादव जी हो, चाहे वो टी गहलोत जी हो, सबने बोला है कि एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होना चाहिए, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होना चाहिए, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होना चाहिए. कमर्शियल सर्विस में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं होगा बिकॉज ऑफ द सोल रीजन दैट वहां पे मिडिलमैन है, वो मिडिलमैन प्रॉफिट लेना चाहेगा और आपके साथ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं बनाएगा. इसको हमने कैसे डील किया है बिल में? इफ यू कैन लुक एट सबसेक्शन 6 section 6 subsection 1 and 2 of the first part, it is clearly said that the mental health of the surrogates will be taken care of under section 1, which is side effects and after effects of procedures, and number 2, in prescribed form the written informed consent of the surrogate mother will be taken by the surrogacy board, which essentially means that उनके consent को लेके ही she will be made a surrogate during altruistic surgery with expenses. तो मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि अब प्रॉब्लम है क्या, और अगर प्रॉब्लम है तो क्यों है. हमने I have already drawn the roadmap from the the beginning of the day that what is the advantages of altruistic surgery, what is the problem with commercial surrogacy, what is the difference between both of them, where are we yielding to. So I just to like to end with a few lines saying that जिस दिन से चला हूं मेरी मंजिल पे नजर है, आंखों ने कभी मील के पत्थर नहीं देखे. And इसी बात पे I would like to say that the ruling party has always focused on the surrogate mother and the surrogate child as yielded by JP Nadda ji and Piyush Goyal ji and many other parliamentarians. पर हमारी बातों पे कोई ध्यान नहीं दे रहा है. Nobody is reading the inward text of the bill, and I would request everyone to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. We would now like to move on to our next speaker. If Shibu Sorenji wishes to speak.
Having gone through the bill, I feel it is somewhat violative of Article 21 of the Constitution, which states right to life, personal liberty, and right to livelihood. This bill violates right to livelihood by banning commercial surrogacy, because some women from financially poor background invest into commercial surrogacy to earn their livelihood. So placing a complete ban would be wrong. I understand that commercial surrogacy can be prone to exploitation of women, but at the same time, completely banning an exercise can have an adverse effect, because the way things work at ground level is completely different. These women can be forced to become surrogate mother, and they might not even receive compensation for that. The right to reproduction is also guaranteed in Article 21, which was stated in Devika Biswas versus Union of India case, so which is completely violated here, as LGBTQ and single parents are denied these rights. And as Mr. JP Nadda and Rakesh Sinha stated that there's no need of contract. So I want to ask that if there is any legal issue which might arise, if there is any dispute which might arise, because there are rights of 3 parties involved. So how will we? Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our next speaker, that is Naresh Gujral.
Thank you, Chair. Yesterday we spoke so much about the surrogate mothers, their rights. However, now I wish to draw your attention towards the right of the child, how the bill safeguards the right of the child born out of surrogacy. This I will be explaining by shedding some light on the cross-border surrogacy. So cross-border surrogacy, the major issue with this cross-border surrogacy is that it mainly leads to problems of citizenship, nationality, motherhood, parentage, custody, and rights of the child. Children are at times denied nationality of the country of the intended parents. The lack of citizenship and abandonment, which has been very commonly found previously, is the most popular problem faced by the child born out of surrogacy, as we have popularly seen in the case of baby Manji Amada versus Union of India, wherein a 2-week-old was abandoned by the Japanese parent and the surrogate mother too refused to accept the baby. Now imagine the plight of this child, where there is no societal acceptance. Secondly, in the case of in 2014, an Australian couple refused to accept one of their biological twins born through surrogacy because of the gender of the child. Now let me ask you a question. At this tender age, where a child should be given love, affection, and warmth, should he or she be subjected to negative emotions of rejection, neglection, feeling of unwantedness, and abandonment? This is not the age where he or she is asked to fight for a place in the society. That is why, in the interest of child, it is necessary that people from outside, that cross-border surrogacy shouldn't be allowed. Further, shedding light on the bill too has taken into consideration all these problems and has addressed it and has taken into consideration the rights of the child. As you see, Section 4, that is Clause 4 of the bill, which states that a child should not be, that surrogacy will not be conducted and the child produced should not be allowed for sale, for prostitution, and various other forms of exploitation. So this exploitative nature has been taken out. Our intention is to safeguard the rights of the child. Clause 7 of the bill also deals with the rights of the child, further stating the tripartite agreement. We are already giving a provision for a parental order to be issued by the magistrate court, which is to be equivalent to a tripartite agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our next speaker, that is M. Kharge.
All right. So
Yeah.
1 second. Yes. Yeah. All right. Now, even if we are assuming the fact that the surrogacy bill of 2020 is the way forward with how we are regulating surrogacy and in India, what we need to consider that it would be prudent to pass the Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill 2020 before the surrogacy bill is passed, as clearly it would help in establishing a regulatory mechanism for the ART clinics as a whole and regulating processes like surrogacy and abortion in a better manner. But the point to be noted here is that the ART itself contains its own problems. Now, obviously, our agenda here isn't discussing the ART, but if you look at the ART closely, it requires a lot more of consultations with the relevant stakeholders. And also it has an excess of both moral and legal issues in the first place, right? Now, the second issue which we need to encounter here with the surrogacy bill is that the question if the surrogacy bill is in consonance with the constitutional provisions, right? Now, specifically stressing on Article 21 and Article 14, and specifically the right to employment or the right to livelihood provision, right? Now, we understand the fact that the complete banning of commercial ban at one side of the coin makes sense because it would prevent the exploitation of women. But what about the poor? What about the poor women who want to earn desperately, who need to earn money desperately, or to achieve some kind of financial independence or stability for themselves and their families, right? By giving consent to become a surrogate for monetary compensation. Now, this is nowhere denying the fact that women were exploited, but there needs to be a midway. I do not agree with Ms. JP Nadda saying that there cannot be a midway. There needs to be a midway where we effectively regulate some sort of commercial surrogacy, right? Now, going on to Article 14, right? Now, transgenders have also been recognized as a third gender, right? If you look at the National Legal Services Authority versus Union of India, which make them equal power as gender of male and female. But this particular bill fails to provide for equality of those basic rights to every gender. Now, this particular bill would create a specific criterion which is very narrow for commissioning surrogacy, and it would disentitle transgenders from commissioning surrogacy. And this is only regarding the transgenders. We are not even going towards the LGBTQ community or single couples and older couples, which also further violate Article 14 and Article 21 at a large scale. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. We move on to Rupa Ganguly. She's here. I doubt she is.
No, she's not here.
If not, Sharad Pawar.
Am I audible?
Yes.
मैंने कल कहा था कि सरोगेट मदर को जो इंटेंडेड कपल्स है उनको इतने सर्टिफिकेट्स की जरूरत होती है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट मेडिकल बोर्ड के पास जाना पड़ता है, अप्रोप्रिएट अथॉरिटी के पास जाना पड़ता है. एंड I asked that we should not make it a complex bill. We should make it a simple. Sir, I mentioned the multiple agencies. Why should these people and a woman who wants to be a mother, why would they run from pillar to post for certificates? Sir, we know the red tapeism in our country. Not everyone who is wanting to become mother, not everyone who wants to indulge into good activities have to go to bureaucracy all the time for certificates. Why not have a simple procedure? And especially when we are talking of motherhood, parenthood, society, and this kind of different aspect which we are trying to bring in law. और मैंने भूपेंद्र यादव जी के स्पीच में कुछ सुना था कॉन्ट्रैक्ट लॉ से रिलेटेड. सर, पहले मैं बताना चाहूंगी कि वर्ल्ड में जितनी भी कंट्रीज है जो altruistic surrogacy अलाउ करती है, not a single country that allows altruistic surrogacy have an enforceable contract. Only those countries that supports a binding contract on surrogacy are the countries that allow commercial surrogacy. So there should not be any nature of contract. It should be called as an interparental arrangement or family arrangement. And if there is a dispute of a child, then the dispute of the child should be resolved under custody law. There is already a provision in a custody law and not under the contract law. And lastly, there are national surrogacy bill and state surrogacy bill as the bill to maintain effective implementation of the act, but there is no provision of budgetary allocation for the functioning of the surrogacy bill. So this should also be considered. Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to our next speaker, Shri Ranjan Gogoi. Sorry, sir.
Not present.
All right, then we'll move on to Oscar Fernandez.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so the MPs have made it clear on how the surrogate mother is looked at to be so helpless and seemingly engaging in an undignified and even a demeaning act. So the bill has potential to provide with, or okay, oh, my video is off. Sorry, I cannot switch it on because my bandwidth is low. Is that all right?
All right, continue.
Sorry.
I'll switch it on later.
All right. So the bill has potential to add provisions and reliefs to the same helpless surrogate mother, as a way to uplift the situation and curb the stigma around it. In addition to what Major Kumar Jha has said, how are we to compensate the pay that the consented surrogate mother is not going to be given from her job while she's at home tending to a child that she's bearing for another couple? Is the money covered in this insurance scheme going to provide any stability to her family? I mean, it is a very complicated bill. I've mentioned this before. There's nothing altruistic about surrogacy, as there is a certain commercial component to it, which cannot be ignored. Keeping it altruistic is just gonna drive surrogacy out of the country. That's all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on, we have Priyanka Chettiar from the organizing team who would wish to make an announcement.
Greetings, parliamentarians. It is a kind request that all of you keep your camera on at all times. The main reason being, at every point of time, we have trustees of Public Concern for Governance Trust join us and observe the sessions. If not, then we have many other dignitaries who are observing all the sessions, and it really gives a bad impact. So please keep your camera on at all times. Thank you.
Thank you. We will continue with our list. Right. Next up, we have Shri Piyush Goyal.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. In response to Oscar Fernandez, sir, he currently made a point that what about the insurance cover? The committee had recommended in clause 4, section 3, an insurance coverage of such amount in a manner as may be prescribed in favor of the surrogate mother for a period of 36 months, covering postpartum delivery complications from an insurance company or any agent recognized by the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, 1999. So that particular area gets cleared out there itself. Yesterday, the legislature, a particular point was raised that the child's right would be exploited and violated if he is born through surrogacy to a close relative, as it would be misunderstood by the child who actually his family is. मैं इस particular बात से सहमत हूं और यही कारण है कि भूपेंद्र यादव जी द्वारा led committee was of the view that limiting the practice of surrogacy to close relatives is not only non-pragmatic and unworkable, but also has no connect with the object to stop exploitation of surrogates in the proposed legislation. The committee therefore recommended that this clause of close relatives should be removed to widen the scope of getting surrogate mothers from outside the close confines of the family of the intending couple. Now, I would like to present some particular facts to the House. There was a variety of reports of intermediary selling, importing, exporting of human gametes. In India, there are 3,000 surrogacy clinics and 2,000 foreign babies are born every year in our country. There have been a plethora of reports which suggest exploitation of mothers' children by the middlemen. There was also a PIL in the Supreme Court, after which the Cabinet Secretary had asked the government to bring about a legislation. Let me apprise the House on this particular issue, sir. In most of the countries, there is altruistic surrogacy, which has been adopted, and commercial surrogacy has been prohibited. To name the countries where commercial surrogacy is banned: United Kingdom, France, Philippines, among many countries. Right now, it's allowed in only 3 countries, namely Russia, Ukraine, and California province of USA. Plus the fine, yesterday, Yajnik ji stated something about the fines. The fines which are put on the offenders are put for a simple reason that they have been cited on the other side of law. Any intending couple or any person who seeks the aid of any surrogacy clinic, laboratory, gynecologist or embryologist, or any other person for commercials or for conducting surrogacy procedures for commercial purposes shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 5 years and with fine which may extend to 5 lakh rupees for the first offense, And for a subsequent offense, the imprisonment may increase to 10 years. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Piyush Goyal. Please keep a note of the time. We will now move on to our next speaker, that is A.K. Antony. A.K. Antony.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes. Yes, you are. Go ahead. A.K. Antony, you may go ahead. But it's not. I doubt we have Nirmala ji here.
Mr. A.K. Antony is in the meeting.
Achha. We don't have Nirmala ji here either, I believe. So,
excuse me, sir.
Yeah, you're here now. Go ahead.
Yeah. May I?
Yeah.
Am I audible, first of all, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon, parliamentarians. Yesterday, everyone from the opposition kept asking about the justified reason for excluding LGBT community and live-in couples or single parents, etc. But unreasonable and unjustifiable feedbacks were received. Although JP Nadda ji and Rakesh Sinha ji tried to explain the exclusion of live-in couples, but still it was well countered by Mary Kom ji. Now, the most highly unfortunate statement were also made by Mr. Rakesh Sinha ji about dignity and Jyotiraditya Scindia about compensation for noble act. I countered them by stating it's not upon us to decide their right to livelihood. They are the one who want to be compensated to feed their family. I would like to bring to attention of Mr. JP Nadda ji that his speech was excellent, but was not speaking about reality. If we are banning commercial surrogacy, we are attempting to eradicate surrogacy, and hence, unfortunately, it can't be said in India, your womb or someone else's. If this is our aim, let's go ahead with this bill, or please believe in regulation of commercial surrogacy. But let's keep in mind, Mr. JP Nadda ji, you yourselves are contradicting with your statements. As during discussion on lockdown for COVID-19, you made a statement about right to livelihood and starvation of poor. So similarly, earning money from a noble act of surrogacy is the right to livelihood. Also, there is a recent petition filed in Supreme Court to decriminalize the act of begging, as it is against the right to livelihood. This complex bill clearly violates Article 21 and Article 19(1)(g). Now, other issue in this bill that states certificate of a medical condition in favor of either both the intending couples or the intending woman necessitating gestational surrogacy from a district medical board. Now, this clause only include a medical indication. But what if some athlete, let's take an example of athlete, doesn't want to become a pregnant woman, but still want to have a child? She can't enjoy her right because of this highly complex bill in our democratic country. Also, JP Nadda ji, Harshvardhan ji, and Rakesh Sinha ji, I request you to first clear the flaws in ART bill and also believe that there is a middle way and we can find a way to regulate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Once again, requesting everyone to please keep note of their time. We will now move on to Hardeep Singh Puri. Hardeep?
He's not here.
We move on to Dr. Ami Ashik.
Thank you for the recognition. I would like to start off by saying, quoting Sir Thawarchand Gehlot ji, when you say that we need to ban commercial surrogacy because the money can often get into wrong hands, so you should stop the payment altogether. then that would basically mean that we should sojourn painting for all the goods existing in the contemporaneous market, because they might end up in the wrong hands. And then when JP Nadda ji and Rakesh Sinha ji बार-बार ये कह रहे हैं कि altruistic surrogacy is the way to go, you are merely assuming that altruistic surrogate mothers are not exploited and blatantly ignoring the fact that unpaid surrogacy is also exploitative. Further, the bill expects a surrogate mother to go through the entire process of surrogacy out of compassion. And we've been told that we haven't read the inward data of the bill. So, sir, after reading the bill, I would like to point out another violative clause. That is clause 4, part 3, which equates a child with a mental or physical disability with childlessness. In case of children who are fatally ill or diagnosed with a life-threatening disorder, there is further assumption, almost an encouragement for parents to initiate surrogacy. Clearly, this problematic clause espouses a certain instrumentalist view of having children who are to be able-bodied. Not only is this discriminatory, but it is also in clear violation of the rights of children with disabilities and their treatment with dignity. Yesterday also I was quoting in my speech, I would like to further reiterate on that. The Indian courts have come across many cases where citizenship of children has become an issue. In the famous German couple case, wherein a child was born to a German couple in India through surrogacy, but surrogacy is not recognized in the land of Germany, so it was regulated in India. The Gujarat High Court held that in the absence of any legislation in the particular case, the court is inclined to recognize the gestational surrogate who has given birth to the child as the natural mother. Thus, the Supreme Court resolved the issue of surrogate mother as the natural mother. The legislature has still not taken out proper legislation for this legal hurdle and instead has left it to the courts to decide it on case-to-case basis. I would like to end by saying that people opt for surrogacy over adoption as it is a complicated and lengthy procedure. There is a need for adoption to become a more uncomplicated procedure as an alternative to surrogacy, keeping in mind that surrogacy shall anyhow be made available to all types of people. Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to our next speaker, that is Dr. Harshvardhan.
Okay, so yesterday we were getting some arguments that our ART के बारे में पहले कोई bill नहीं निकाला गया है. So I would like to explain that statement through a timeline. So the first attempt when ART was introduced was in 2005, which was ART regulation. It contained provisions that had guidelines for regulation, supervision, and accreditation of ART clinics in India. Then in 2008 and 2010, during the course of UPA government, none of them, the ART bill was again introduced in the parliament, but none of them were passed. The bill was on legalizing commercial surrogacy, but had various drawbacks such as no insurance cover at all to the surrogate, etc. At least our government ensured that the surrogate mothers have insurance. Then in 2015, the government brought certain changes to the rules and a partial ban on surrogacy was enforced. The foreigners were banned from hiring surrogates in India. This decision was taken relying heavily on the 228th report of the Law Commission of 2009 that suggested a complete ban on commercial surrogacy. Then based on Law Commission's report that suggested a regulation of ART clinics as surrogacy got covered under one of the functions of these clinics, the Department of Health Research came out with the Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill 2017 that provided a framework for such regulation. Then the 2016 ART bill was again reintroduced in Lok Sabha in 2019 with amended provisions as Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2019 by our ministry. It was passed in Lok Sabha in 2019. Bill was sent to Rajya Sabha on November 21, 2019. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to our next speaker, that is Mary Kom.
तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जो हमारा बिल आया हुआ है, एनी बिल विच इज एनी बिल जो भी आता है पार्लियामेंट में, तो उससे एक टेस्ट पास करना होता है, उसे कहते हैं गोल्डन ट्रायंगल टेस्ट, जो कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने लेट किया था. तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली जो करंट बिल है वो प्रोविजंस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वैलिडिटी वो प्रूव नहीं कर पाया. आर्टिकल 21 का वायलेशन है, 14 का वायलेशन है और आर्टिकल 19 क्लॉज 1 सब क्लॉज जी का वायलेशन है. तो
ब्लैंकेट बैन रखना है देन नॉट एक्सटेंडिंग टू LGBT और लिव इन रिलेशनशिप्स में, तो ये क्लियरली इंडिकेट करता है कि आर्टिकल 14 दैट इज राइट टू इक्वालिटी का एक साफ साफ वायलेशन हुआ है। ऑल्सो राइट टू लाइवलीहुड जो कि आर्टिकल 21 के अंदर आता है, उसका भी क्लियर वायलेशन हुआ है। कैसे हुआ है, क्या हुआ, ये हमने कल की डिबेट्स में ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर लिया है। सो फॉर नाउ स्टेटिंग दिस माय ओनली पर्पस इज कि ये जो टेस्ट होता है गोल्डन ट्रायंगल का, वो प्रूव नहीं कर पाया, वो पास नहीं कर पाया है, पहली चीज तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली वैलिड है ही नहीं ये बिल। सेकेंडली व्हाट आई वुड लाइक टू थैंक राकेश सिन्हा जी की उन्होंने प्रिस्क्राइब एक्सपेंसेस का क्लॉज सबके सामने लेके आए। सर मैं उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन यहाँ पे लाना चाहती हूँ सबके सामने। तो प्रिस्क्राइब्ड एक्सपेंसेस जो टर्म होता है वो हम ऐसे इक्वेट कर सकते हैं कि जैसे लॉ में एक प्रूडेंट कंसेप्ट आता है, प्रूडेंट है रीजनेबल मैन, तो वो क्या प्रूडेंट होगा क्या रीजनेबल होगा वो केस टू केस डिसाइड होता है और कोर्ट डिसाइड करता है। तो प्रिस्क्राइब्ड एक्सपेंस जो हम लिख रहे थे तो वहां पे ये एक उद्देश्य ये होगा कि जो ऐसी चीजें जो हम अनफोर्सी नहीं कर पा रहे, जो अभी हम नहीं देख पा रहे बट फ्यूचर इवेंट में हम देख सकते हैं, उन्हें लाए। बट उन एक्सपेंसेस का क्या, उन कॉम्पनसेशन का क्या जो हम देख पा रहे हैं, इसको सपोर्ट करने के लिए मैं एक चीज बोलना चाहूंगी। जैसे मैटरनिटी बिल था तो बहुत सारों ने बोला था कि जो वेजेस है या मैटरनिटी रिलीफ है वो हमारे एक्ट से जाएगा। दैट इज ट्रू कि सरोगेट मदर मैटरनिटी के लिए एलिजिबल है, बट उसमें बहुत सारी कंडीशन है। जैसे सेक्शन 5 क्लॉज 2 ऑफ मैटरनिटी बेनिफिट अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 2017 ये कहता है कि जो विमेन होगा उसको एवरेज डेली वेज और 1 रुपी, मतलब दोनों में से जो भी हाई हो, एवरेज डेली वेज जो एक इसका डिफाइन किया है वो, या तो 1 रुपी जो भी हाई होगा वो मिलेगा। तो 1 रुपी से डिफाइन किया मतलब हम समझ पा रहे हैं कि इसमें बहुत इनइक्वालिटी है। इवन और भी अलग कंडीशन है, जैसे मिनिमम 80 डेज उसको काम करना है विमेन को, तो अगर वो सरोगेट मदर वहां पे उतना डेज काम नहीं किए तो क्या होगा, तो वो सारी चीज हमें इंक्लूड करनी चाहिए। वो एक्सक्लूड करके अगर हम ये सारी चीज प्रिस्क्राइब्ड में डाल रहे हैं तो वो गलत है, क्योंकि वो बहुत उसका वाइड एम्बिट है और बहुत डिस्कसेबल टॉपिक है, तो उसे सही से इंटरप्रेट करे और जो लूपहोल्स है उसे फिक्स करे। थैंक यू।
Thank you. Please keep a note of your time. We will now move on to Arpita Ghosh.
So I will speak later.
Okay. We now move on to Bhupendra Yadav.
Thank you, Sir Chair. So I encourage this House to, come up with a fact and solution-oriented approach to the topic we are discussing. A lot of fingers are being pointed and a lot of justifications are being given. Although there is a need for middle ground, as has been pointed out by a lot of people. Now, to talk about the already existing mechanism of screening and the certified process of eligibility. Now, Kharge ji, when you say that transgenders and live-in relationship couples are not included in this, why not we talk about a recommendation that extends these screening processes of required for the intending couple to the transgenders and the people living in relationships as well. Now, secondly, talking about that the view of the select committee has simultaneously been that surrogacy cannot be a way for a woman to, earn her way out of money, and therefore should not be taken as a profession. Now, thirdly, since the National Surrogacy Board is the body and the critical instrument that is actually going to check both the implementation as well as the grievance redressal mechanism, what we need to actually see is that the composition of which is designated and has a mix of various different categories of stakeholders, whether it be from the medical field, whether it be in the social economic field, or whether it be in the or any government appointed official. Now, therefore, any legal implication should be held by the registrar of the board, and therefore there is a need for a national database of the surrogates to ensure that no woman is taking up surrogacy again and again. Therefore, these implementational things need to be actually looked at, and this obviously needs to take place all across the country. Thank you.
Thank you. We move on to our next speaker, that is Thevarchand Gehlot.
Thank you, Chair, for the recognition. First of all, I completely second with what Bhupendra ji just now said. Everyone is claiming or everyone is criticizing on the bill. It's better than that of claiming. Just come to a solution. If you have some solution, present it in front of the parliament, and that's what we are looking for. If not the same bill then. And one thing I just want to make it clear to Mr. Sharad Pawar ji, he just said in his speech that there is a long procedure, there is a long certified procedure to be carried out for a surrogate mother, for the intended parents who are desperately wanting a child. Sir, it's बहुत एक सिंपल सी चीज है. अगर एक सर्टिफाइड प्रोसेस फॉलो नहीं करेंगे तो आप ही आओगे बोलने के लिए गवर्नमेंट के पास कि आप एक सर्टिफाइड प्रोसीजर नहीं फॉलो कर रहे हो. एंड नाउ व्हेन वी आर सेइंग दैट देयर इज अ सर्टिफाइड प्रोसीजर स्टेटेड इन द बिल, and we are in fact, Rakesh Sinha ji, JP Nadda ji have already clarified that there is a procedure. Now you're claiming that no, this procedure is too long, and there should be a simplified version of it. See, it's very easy to sit back and just comment or criticize. It's very difficult to come up, bring up solutions in the parliament, and just face the situation up front, up there. So if you think you're so much eligible to criticize, please come up with solutions, sir. We are glad to take up your solutions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We will now move on to our next speaker, that is Jyotiraditya Scindia. Since he's not here, we will move on to Jaya Bachchan.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
Chair, for giving the recognition, I would be speaking about the loopholes. The purpose in the society is to protect the liberty of individual, as well as act as an instrument to distribute positive entitlements, and in order to fulfill its emerging technologies, so that the benefit can reach to the needy. The bill puts a blanket ban on commercial surrogacy. We all know that, and only allows altruistic surrogacy. However, it seems as if this step has not been properly seen through, it may, in many instances, commercial surrogacy acts as an attractive alternate for the parties. This is because it provides financial stability to the poor surrogate mother, and it also includes the foreign currency investment. India faces the severe problem of poverty with the advent of surrogacy in the country. Poor women indulge themselves in this process. Therefore, it is necessary to arrive at a midway that facilitates commercial surrogacy, but in a better and a sufficient regulatory manner. The prices must be fixed by the appropriate authorities, and bargaining shouldn't be permitted. Now, I would like to support Yajniki's point, because her point was I would like to add up to her point that although the bill promotes altruistic surrogacy, as she said, that coming on to the entire altruistic surrogacy will have some problems also. Same, I am with that point, that the altruistic surrogacy can lead to corruption, black marketing, and a clandestine surrogacy procedure. In the case of an altruistic agreement, the gestational carrier could incur more out-of-pocket costs, and the intended parents could also end up paying more due to misinformation or other various outliers. The same has not been addressed by the bill. It merely assumes that altruistic surrogate mothers are not exploited, and blatantly ignores the fact that the unpaid surrogacy is also exploitative. Further, the bill expects a surrogate mother to go through the entire process of surrogacy out of compassion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We'll move on. Abhishek Singhvi, would you like to give a speech?
He's not here, but we do have Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia.
Like Scindia, sir, you give a speech.
I would like to continue in the next round.
All right. So we'll move on to Ramdas Athawale.
Firstly, why so much criticism for the bill? Ma'am and sir, the opposition was instituted to highlight the loophole of the bill. It needs to be taken positive light by the central government. Secondly, we do have commercial surrogacy ban in several countries such as United States, United Kingdom. So we are India, and India has a special condition of its own. Therefore, we expect that the bill that would be formulated would be in congruence by recognizing the special requirements that Indian culture, or Indian local environment poses. Now, stating that altruistic surrogacy is only the way, sir, altruistic surrogacy has complications of its own. You might think that there is no monetary compensation undertaken in this system, but there have been instances wherein immonetary rewards such as buying of a car or etc. on similar lines, as I stated yesterday, is being undertaken between the family members. Therefore, bringing a contract becomes important. However, since you have completely ruled out the option of commercial surrogacy, there would be no place for bringing in a contract and furthering the exploitation of surrogate mothers, be it a family member or a commercial woman wishing to provide a baby. Also, I want a justification why there is no provision with respect to if a divorce happens between a couple, what would happen before the birth of the child, who would take care of the surrogate child, as we all know what happened to baby Manji. And there has been statement that the bill has come up with stringent fines and imprisonment. So we have stringent fines and imprisonment for several other offenses as well. Had that been so effective, then perhaps the Indian crime rate would have been negligible. These are loopholes which I wish the central government to address. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, 1 minute, Dharmil, before you begin. Do we have someone from the secretariat? कोई है? नहीं है? अच्छा चलो यार, मतलब आई वाज इन्फॉर्म्ड कि कुछ प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करके है, कब है?
2 बजे
2 बजे है ना, तो इट्स ओनली 2 minutes, so you know, before you take the next speech, please call them and you know get this done.
Okay, I'll take them.
We have the deputy chief of press now.
Yes, she's there.
I'll get everybody here 1 minute.
कोई आ रहा है कि मतलब क्या स्टेटस है?
First, the deputy head is there. She's calling the other member.
मुझे सुनाई नहीं दिया, आपने क्या बोला?
So the deputy chief of press is there. She's calling the other members for the press.
अच्छा, मतलब देखो, तो are we supposed to present or you know we are supposed to leave?
Paula, can you give a...
The committee members are supposed to stay here, I think.
And me as a moderator, what am I supposed to do? Enjoy?
Sir, the committee members will ask the question and the parliamentarians to whom the question is asked, they will have to answer.
अच्छा, नहीं मतलब यार मैं अपना पूछ रहा हूँ. I guess I'm neither a committee member nor a participant. So what am I supposed to do?
You can enjoy the questions.
I am supposed to enjoy. ठीक है, चलो, thanks. मतलब that's what I'm willing to know कि मतलब मुझे करना क्या है. Am I supposed to contribute or am I supposed to enjoy? तो आपने अच्छा clarify किया, तो that is good. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to start the press conference with a question to Mr. JP Nadda. Apart from the absence of a marriage ceremony, what other key differences would you be able to highlight between a live-in relationship and a marriage of the same length, if any? And why should such couples not be allowed to raise a surrogate child?
There are two possible perspectives that can be used to answer this question. One would be a very social, moralistic ground, and the other would be purely legal and technical. Since I would like to focus on the tangible logistics first, the main difference between a live-in couple and a married couple would be, first of all, the legal provisions that exist. The second, a companionship or a union or association has been validated, acknowledged, and legitimized by the state in the form of a marriage certificate. That means there are certain provisions for what happens when they separate. That means their wealth, and most importantly, something more than a commodity, the child that they hold. When that is not the case, when it is a live-in relationship, then we just have a repeat of the baby M case. And in a country like India, where we are facing so many issues with the concept of marriage itself because of its demographical diversity and so on and so forth, when we put those aside and just look at two people, there is almost no legitimacy to their companionship, and not on social grounds whatsoever, but on legal and technical grounds. And that means neither of them are accountable when it comes to the child. And as a state, we feel it is not right to give to give the responsibility of a child to a couple that cannot be legally or technically bound by it, to each other or to the state or to the child.
Thank you so much.
I'll go next. Greetings, this is Varun. My question is also to JP Nadda. So you have expressed a firm disinclination against commercial surrogacy despite many claims of the contrary from the opposition. Would you like to elaborate on why that is the case?
Yes, I would. Thank you for that question. So, although we've seen the evolution of the surrogacy bill as it stands today, we've had recommendations from the ICMR, we've had the 2228 Law Commission, we've had the Surrogacy 2016 bill, which was not passed, the 2019 bill, which was incorporated with changes from the State Committee Board, and now we're standing at 2020. And there has been a clear evolution towards a disinclination and like a ban on commercial surgery. And the reasons for that is, if we were to identify the stakeholders, there are primarily three. The first one is the surrogate mother, the second is the surrogate child, and the third one are the intending parents. And all three of these stakeholders stand to benefit when surrogacy is limited to altruistic surrogacy, wherein the mother is a consenting and willing woman, wherein the child has clear rights as have been laid out by the bill and exacerbated by the recommendations of the committee, and the intending parents have a clear clear legitimacy in their authority and responsibility over the child, right? So when we are looking at altruistic surrogacy, we are keeping it to the human endeavor that it is. The second you make it commercial surrogacy, you make it into a market, and the second money is involved. These surrogate mothers who are claimed to be pioneering their own economic autonomy, they don't hold that autonomy any longer, because their family members, the intermediaries, who in most cases, when until the implementation of this bill, most of the intermediaries, they get maximum revenue from commercial surrogacy. The women do not get it because they don't have that financial autonomy. And so there are plenty of reasons why commercial surrogacy is not to be taken, especially considering the social, political, economic, and legal context of India. And for that reason, altruistic surrogacy is the way to go. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, parliamentarians. My question is directed to Shri A.K. Antony. During discussions and deliberations, you spoke against the government and the parliamentarians deciding to scrap commercial surgery. While making your points, you made a statement saying that it is not upon us to decide their right to livelihood. Please justify this statement, because the way I see it, all of you parliamentarians, you lot decide that acts of terrorism are against right to livelihood as a ways of earning money. You decide that murder for hire is against right to livelihood. Every single year, multiple instances, all of you sit and work on and rework on laws which impact the right to livelihood of 1 billion plus people. So are you abdicating your responsibility as a parliamentarian when you say that it's not for you to decide anymore?
Okay. So, sir, first of all, I would like to answer you by clearing my aspect about what right to livelihood I exactly stated was the way of earning money for them. So I clarified about this statement yesterday, saying that we are no one to decide because they themselves want to earn money. Because question was asked to me that whether it is right to compensate for the noble act of motherhood. So I replied them by giving a statement that in 2015 there was a PIL filed by Advocate Jayashri Wad seeking a ban on commercial surrogacy, which was supported by government. And by submitting an affidavit, it claimed that altruistic surrogacy to needy, infertile married Indian couples will be allowed after thorough checks of the couples. But interestingly, here is what my answer is. This PIL was opposed by the surrogate mothers themselves, saying that this change made by the government of India in the regards of the matters of surrogacy were discriminatory and projected surrogacy in a very negative light. So my aspect of saying that was that they themselves want to be compensated, because we are no one to judge that how they what is their need and what should be their way of earning money to feed their family.
Thank you so much.
One more question is left, I believe. 1 second.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
So my question is from Mr. Piyush Goyal.
Yes, ma'am.
Are the migrant workers who are traveling from the hotspots area to the non-containment zones considered as the super spread of the coronavirus at the local level? And what are the precautionary measures taken by the railways to curb these spreads?
Ma'am, talking about the super spreaders of coronavirus, ma'am, you must understand that the main purpose of Ministry of Railways is transportation. All right, so transportation of migrants from one section to section A to section B is our duty, is our prior responsibility. It's our moral purpose to actually make sure that they are completely safe, and it's our moral purpose to make sure that they are completely safe. It's our duty, and we are doing it. There have been isolation facilities, quarantine centers have been made in the railway stations itself to make sure that if we identify a super spreader, he or she shall be quarantined for a designated amount of time. Other than that, we also have our own COVID test centers and facilities, for which our ministry had already devoted 300 crores, which have been established all over the country. And in that, I guess it gives the answer to your question now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I guess we are done with the press conference here. You guys can continue.
Shankar, we'll continue. I'll just contact Ishansu meanwhile.
Yeah, whom are we waiting for?
Yes, I was just contacting you. We have just completed with the press conference.
Acha, so are we starting with the legislative business now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is the next time for break?
So I think it's 3 to 3:30.
Chalo, please continue.
Next up, we last heard Ramdas Athavale speak. Next up, we have Sonal Manson, if you wish to speak, ma'am. We move on to HD Dev Gowda. So do you wish to speak?
Not here.
All right, Priyanka Chaturvedi.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. So the thing is, we are discussing the ambiguities in the current bill because there are a lot of legal conundrums. There are a lot of, what to say, loopholes. Fine, I understand. We are even proposing the solutions to, clear them out. Just clear them out. And to clear them out, I've proposed that we need a tri-party agreement. We need a contract wherein all the provisions containing the rights of all the three parties involved. Like, of course, we have to prevent the exploitation of surrogate mothers, but you cannot ignore the rights of the intending parents or intending women or the rights of the child. Now, since I'm talking about the rights of the child, the Child Rights Convention talks about the best interests of the child should be upheld at all costs. In this bill, there's no such regulation regarding the neonatal care, right? So, this Article 18 subsection 2 of the Child Rights Convention mentions that the state should render appropriate assistance to parents, legal guardians in performance of their child rearing responsibilities. Something to boost the neonatal care in India was also mentioned in the National Population Policy of the year 2000. Now, when we are talking about surrogate children, it's extremely important because this National Population Policy states that to take care of infants 6 months of breastfeeding from the mother for proper nutrition, for proper health of the child is important. Nothing of that sort is mentioned in this bill. I'd suggest that if the child is to be fed by the surrogate mother, such provisions have to be mentioned in the agreement clearly. If not, then the provisions regarding the care of the child for institutions, for facilities like banks, those milk banks and other things have to be mentioned in this bill to safeguard the interests of the child. We also had Rakesh Sinha ji relying so much on the insurance provision. Okay, let me tell you what happens if an insurance company refuses to provide insurance for some very valid reason to the surrogate mother. In such cases, the reimbursement or such contingencies in such a case, how will the surrogate mother be reimbursed? That is why, once again, I'll say we need a contract wherein all such conundrums, all such contingencies are addressed. Thank
you. We would now like to move on to Manoj Shah.
Thank you for the recognition, Deputy Chair. I would firstly like to apologize for practically ending my speaking session last time, but I would like to continue from now. I think government बहुत बार बोल रही है कि हम इसकी जरूरत है क्योंकि मिडलमैन सर्किट्स को एक्सप्लॉइट कर रही है, which is very valid. वो एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहे हैं, but the solution to that is not completely banning commercial surrogacy. You could easily remove the middleman from the process or heavily regulate the middleman from the process, or just introduce a government platform where intending couples or intending women can meet the willing women for surrogacy instead of completely banning commercial surrogacy in the first place. Because a survey amongst commercial surrogates at present shows that they're moving away from other industries such as the garment industry to surrogacy because of the fact that they're being lowly paid in these industries. They're facing sexual harassment in the workplace. They're exploited because they have to work longer working hours, and they're giving minimal to no health coverage. And this is despite the fact that already laws exist to prevent this from happening in their workplace, but it still does happen because there is a large gap between the implementation of laws and what is passed in the legislature. So it just goes to show that even if this bill is passed and you completely ban commercial surrogacy, you will not be the only thing you'll be doing is unregulating commercial surrogacy, because it will not stop existing. Instead of banning commercial surrogacy, we can heavily regulate it as it is, so that women do have an option as to whether if they want to rent out their wombs for money or not, rather than them just being further exploited and not having any recourse when they are exploited if this bill is banned. Thank you.
Thank you. सर अभी एक और राउंड ले. शांत सर अभी एक और राउंड ले. Meanwhile, we'll just proceed with speeches. We'll start again. JP Nadda, if you wish to speak.
Can I get a second? Okay, no, I'm ready. Okay. Members of the Parliament, thank you for the time. I would like to counter some of the points that have been raised in the past round. We had A.K. Antony, Ami Yajnik, Mary Kom come up and talk about how altruistic surrogacy as the only alternative is not good enough, because if we only allow altruistic surrogacy, we are eliminating and eradicating surrogacy. In the words of A.K. Antony, surrogacy is need-based. It is based on the needs of the intending parents and the surrogate mother. And if the intending parents do find a willing woman, you simply cannot eradicate surrogacy. It is something based on need. We are not creating a market for it. We're simply facilitating and regulating a market that already exists. Now, with reference to the same old claim about how Golden Triangle is being violated, as was raised by Mary Kom, this has been countered by me in a previous speech. Right to livelihood is not being violated, because you could say the same, that when you ban prostitution, the right of livelihood of the prostitutes and of the prostitute regulators is being violated. Is that a right of livelihood that you want to afford? No, you don't. That is why when we talk about livelihood of the mothers, even the surrogate mothers who might be getting their livelihood from it are statistically most likely put into it by exploitation. Even once they are forced into it, their treatment during the 9 months and postpartum is dismal, if at all. Right? Then when we talk about how unpaid surrogacy is also exploitative and altruistic surrogacy can be exploitative, we have the opposition and non-government members coming up and saying that we will very definitely regulate commercial surrogacy, but regulated altruistic surrogacy can also go wrong. If we are talking about the major loopholes that exist, if you're claiming the loopholes that exist in enforcing altruistic surrogacy, how can you in the same breath talk about being able to regulate commercial surrogacy? This is a dichotomy that does not fit together. Now, talking about regulating altruistic surrogacy, for the nth time, we have the state boards, we have appropriate authorities, we will be taking into consideration IRDAI, and we have several measures that are in place to make sure that unpaid surrogacy is not exploitative. And when we are talking about legislation, enforcement is always another element, but you can't make legislation based on the possibility or the remote possibility of misuse. Lastly, when Dr. Ami Yajnik comes up and talks about able-bodied children and how this is ableist, studies show that when parents have children after disabled children, that is better for the family, because the able children are able to support the parents, and the disabled children after the parents are no longer to do it themselves. Therefore, this is in no circumstances against disabled children, and only something that is basic structure of Indian families. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to Rakesh Sinha.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. I would like to first of all counter what A.K. Antony said. He keeps on harping about finding a mid path, but he never clears out what his mid path is, because he says that we should completely allow commercial surrogacy. But moving on from rhetorics, I would like to address the point made by Shri Mary Kom, which is also addressed by JP Nadda ji, where she talks about Article 21 and the Golden Triangle. Now, we have conceded very well that Article 14 is violated, and after once the bill is enacted, we will be introducing provisions which allow transgenders and other people, which has also been recommended by the Select Committee, which has ruling party members. But talking about Article 21, we're not taking their right to livelihood, because if the members could refer to the case of MJ Shivani versus State of Karnataka and others, which is a landmark on Article 21, it clearly states that right to life under Article 21 does protect livelihood, but added a rider that its deprivation cannot be extended too far or projected in terms of public interest or has it is order effect on public or moral or public order. When we talk about banning, when we talk about introducing altruistic surgery, we're not talking about the few people who consider commercial surrogacy and earn money from it. We talk about the larger interest of people are exploited. When we talk about balance of probabilities as a legal concept, the opposition says that when we introduce altruistic surgery, there might be a chance somewhere in the future where there'll be an underground market which is not even established at present because the exploitation is happening in front of you and you're not doing anything about the exploitation. We say that, as JP Nadaji pointed out, the balance of probabilities demand that altruistic surrogacy be introduced because at least we put a ban on the exploitation happening in open. Once we take care of that, we look into unregulated practices that happen underground and we will impose penalties which are already there. And the point made by P. Chaturvedi is exactly what I said in my previous speech, which was with regards to need for a contract, where I've said that clause 6, subclause 1(2) clearly states that the written consent of women will be taken in altruistic surrogacy. So I don't understand what the problem of the opposition is when they come up and point out several flaws, but they're not able to explain the key features of the bill. And I completely agree with the statements made by T. Gehlot and Bhupendra Yadav ji, where they talk about providing solutions which the bill does. Of course, there's lacuna and of course we'll try to solve it. But today, as the bill it stands, it needs to be passed to ban commercial surrogacy because that is the biggest bane of the 21st century.
Thank you. We would now like to move on to Shibu Soren. Sir, if you would like to give a speech.
First of all, I absolutely agree with what the Mallikarjun Kharge said, that art clinic is quite clandestine and it has turned more into sex determination and abortion industry. So first of all, there should be an art bill placed before surrogacy bill so that a proper mechanism is introduced. And secondly, the point that I want to raise is, in case of abortion, consent of surrogate mother is required and the intending couples have got no authority whatsoever at all. So if there isn't a contract, what will be the course of action in such cases? Thirdly, JP Nadda pointed out about prostitution. I think prostitution is not banned. Child prostitution is banned and managing of brothel is banned. Because last year in Bombay, police had arrested some prostitutes and Bombay High Court ordered them to release on the basis that women have the right to choose their vocation. And the talk about midway is going on, that there should be a midway. So I think a midway can be found if we permit commercial surrogacy with high charges, but in a restricted manner. By this, I mean to say that if a surrogate mother satisfied the criteria set by government regarding her health situation, a fixed amount, there should be an amount that should be fixed so that there is no bargaining going on and both the parties can get the benefit. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We move on to Shri Naresh Gujral.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I would like to ask Mr. S.K. Anthony, who stated or who called commercial surrogacy a noble act. Now, you state about providing compensation for such a noble act. I would like to ask you a simple question. How do you justify, or how much, according to you, is the adequate compensation for this noble act? Because according to me, it is nearly impossible to define the same in terms of money. Now, as you know, it is commonly said that labor pain is equivalent to 20 bones breaking at the same time. Now, how much money do you think is actually enough to give to a woman for all the pain, the trauma, the mental and physical distress she has put through for the entire period of 9 months? Added the loss of wages, other sacrifices which she has to make. How much do you think will be the adequate relief for her for going through so much? Now, yesterday and today, we have already seen how women are being exploited and majority of them are being coerced by their families. Further, we have also discussed how the middlemen have been draining all the benefits from the third party and the surrogate mothers are hardly paid anything. Now, what is the point of them going through so much pain, jeopardizing their mental, physical and emotional health, and in the end, only being paid very little, while some of them also complain they don't even get the sum they were promised? Now, don't you think that taking into consideration an altruistic approach, which is given to us by the bill, would be a more viable solution to this problem in protecting their interests? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Shri Mallikarjun Kharge.
All right, so give me a minute. Give me a second. Yeah, all right. Now the fact that the government is so optimistic or giving a nod to altruistic surrogacy that it could prove counterproductive, right? Now the reason why it will prove counterproductive because it will offer an opportunity for corruption, black marketing, and also the surrogacy procedure being done clandestinely, right? Now by banning commercial surrogacy, what the government assumes here that altruistic surrogates are not exploited, ignoring the fact that unpaid surrogacy can also be exploitative in nature, right? The bill further ignores the potential loss of earnings of the surrogate mother because she'll have to effectively put her life on hold for a large period of time, like for almost a year, right? So that is what the particular government and the bill fails to oversee in the fact, right? Now this if you look at the report of the selection committee presented to the Rajya Sabha, now even if we assume that such enormous efforts and deliberations were taken, there are still many suggestions which need to be advanced and incorporated to produce a meaningful, beneficial legislation. Whereafter practical shortcoming, the first practical shortcoming is that of commercial surrogacy, and the second one is basically of the non-exclusivity factor of the particular bill which is put in fact, right? Now, if you look at the committee report, that particular committee report has not recommended expanding the definition of commissioning parent to include single persons, either men or women, right? Secondly, by the virtue of provisions of the 2020 surrogacy bill, all single unmarried persons have been automatically excluded for commissioning surrogacy. Likewise, people in unmarried live-in relationships also stand excluded. While on the other hand, what we need to notice, unmarried couples find statutory recognition under the provisions of the Indian Domestic Violence Act of 2005. Why not the same statutory provision could be extended to the same current Surrogacy Act, which has been presented by the government itself, if you can give statutory recognition to couples under the Indian Domestic Violence Act of 2005. Now, further countering what Thorsten Gehlert said, that the only thing the opposition is doing criticizing, then, sir, that is how a democratic institution or a country works. The job of the opposition in a democratic country is to hold the ruling party accountable, and we are giving recommendation at the same point. It's not that we're just giving criticizing without any certain basis to it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. We now move on to Rupa Ganguly isn't here. Sharad Pawar.
Am I audible?
Yes.
So first, I like to say Bhupendra Yadav ji to clear your stance first, because you are also a member of recommendation committee, and there the recommendation committee has decided that the compensation should be provided to a surrogated mother, और उसके लिए एक body होनी चाहिए government की जिससे कि कोई bargaining ना हो सके. And now here in Rajya Sabha you are saying that there is no midway, there should not be a compensated surrogacy. And thank you for Harshvardhan ji for giving us the timeline of ART bill. That ART bill has been discussed in this many years. But what we are requesting is to pass the ART bill. So first pass the ART bill and by the parliament, and then bring the surrogacy later. So yes, this is a very much needed bill, but not in haste. It should not be that slipshod that we would look that there is not complete application of mind by people who have drafted the bill or people who have finalized it. We need to look at what the Law Commission has said, what the stakeholder have to say, and we need to discuss on this bill after the ART bill has been passed. इसलिए मैं इस सदन से आज मानवता के नाम से निवेदन करना चाहता हूँ, कृपया इस बिल को इतना प्रतिबंधित ना करें जिससे कि लोगों की आंखों की चमकान चली जाए. थैंक यू.
Thank you. We now move on to, since Ranjan Gogoi isn't here, Oscar Fernandez, if you wish to speak.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes.
Teacher. Of course, I'd like to first thank Piyush Goyal for addressing my point from the previous slide. Apart from that, as Mr. Gehlot has very vehemently urged the MPs to post their recommendations. A few of my recommendations would be increasing the age, expanding the age range for Indian single women, that is the widows and divorcee, from 35 to 45 to 50 to 30 and 30 to 55. And another thing would be, of course, the inclusivity of live-in couples, which who are actually recognized under the Supreme Court jurisprudence to be presumed to be married couple. Had they been cohabitated for long period of time, which I believe is 7 years to say. And of course, once live-in is allowed, homosexual couples would also be hopefully allowed, who with credible sources are as good as any heterosexual parent. Of course, keeping that in mind, that is the criteria for the parent. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to Shri Piyush Goyal.
So am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for giving me the opportunity to speak. I would like to get some historical facts clear out here. In December 2015, the European Parliament had passed a decision where they condemned surrogacy, which undermines the human dignity of the woman, since her body and her reproductive functions are used as a commodity, by claiming that commercial surrogacy is the need of the hour, and also stating that Article 21 of the Constitution should be kept in mind. I feel that certain members of the House are totally unaware of the gravity of the situation we are discussing. The Parliamentary Standing Committee had given over 42 recommendations to inform the House that out of the 42, 13 were accepted, 13 were already part of the rules and regulations, 4 were already part of a surrogacy bill, but 11 were not accepted. Major points which were not accepted, just for the knowledge of the members, there was a suggestion that altruistic surrogacy be replaced by compensatory surrogacy, which was also raised by some members of the House in yesterday's proceedings. And we as a government feel that this particular suggestion should not be taken into account. Surrogacy procedure to be allowed to PIOs, OCIs, live-in couples was also not accepted by us. मैंने कल भी इस बात पर emphasize किया था और आज भी कर रहा हूं कि कोई भी allegation डालने से पहले हमें उस बात का रूट कॉज एनालिसिस करना चाहिए, ये जानना चाहिए कि उसका जेनेसिस क्या है। तो मैं यहाँ मौजूद सज्जनों को यही बात पूछना चाहूंगा कि जब यूपीए की सरकार के अंदर तो डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ हेल्थ रिसर्च ने रिपोर्ट सबमिट की थी, तो 228 रिपोर्ट 2009 ऑफ लॉ कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया, उसने तब स्ट्रांगली रेकमेंड किया था कि प्रोहिबिटिंग कमर्शियल सरोगेसी एंड allowing ethical altruistic surrogacy services by enacting a suitable legislation. तो अब ये दोगलापन क्यों? There was a lack of legislation on surrogacy that had led to rampant commercialization, unethical practices, and exploitation. And recommendations of the Law Commission of India. Therefore, this particular bill was made to propose to address these particular issues and protect the rights of the mother. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. We move on to our next speaker, A.K. Anthony.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, from yesterday, I have been saying that it's highly unfortunate to see the responses of ruling party, but now it's time to first appreciate the response by Bhupendra Yadav ji, the way he responded out, finding the suggestions first and stop criticizing. Yes, I absolutely agree with that. But first of all, every member from the ruling party must agree that there are loopholes in which the oppositions are pointing out and must be ready to accept the suggestions. Now, to make the clear about the confusion of Mr. Rakesh Sinha ji, because he's been confused since yesterday, saying that I'm not understanding why the opposition is criticizing the bill. So, sir, every single member has in a detailed manner explained the loopholes in the bill, how it violates the golden triangle, and second, it is highly unrealistic to just put a blanket ban on commercial surrogacy and hope that altruistic surrogacy will not exploit the women in India. So, to show you a data of this, that how can this eradicate surrogacy from India, the National ART Registry of India, which is maintained by the Indian Society for Assisted Reproduction, being the nodal agency for recording surrogacy cases during the period of 2015 to 2017, there was a shocking decline of surrogacy cases in India. In 2015, where the number of embryo transfers were 714, during 2016 it was 728, but unfortunately 2017 it reduced to 489. The comment on these decline by doctors were the notification by Lok Sabha of banning commercial surrogacy for foreigners. Now just realize that if we are just banning only for commercial surrogacy for foreigners, the decline is visible. So are we really hoping that putting a blanket ban can not eradicate surrogacy from India? So it's really unrealistic. And speaking about the middle way, you told that no one is showing the middle way. Sir, please hear carefully. I yesterday shown the middle way. Today, respected one of the parliamentarian also shown the middle way. Now, a last statement about Naresh Gujralji. Sir, please hear the statements carefully. First of all, my name is A.K. Anthony. And second, I never said the noble act of commercial surrogacy. The question was raised against me that do you think the compensation to the noble act of motherhood is okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Please be aware of the time. Next, we have Nirmala Sitaraman ji who wishes to speak.
She's not here.
Hardeep Singh Puri.
Not here.
यार धर्मेंद्र, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes sir.
यार मुझे ना मैसेज आया है बियांका का, तो I guess they're here for the feedback. So let them take the feedback and then we can get back.
All right.